Citizen Sleeper 2 Starward Vector. With the first game being one of my all-time favorite games, period, my expectations for Citizen Sleeper 2 Starward Vector were high when going into it. I can happily say most of my expectations were met. Some were presently exceeded, and only a few minor grievances cropped up in my first complete 10-hour playthrough. Let's talk about the goods. So the first is the writing in the first game was phenomenal, and in my experience some writers can lose the edge when making the further iterations if they're not careful. Thankfully, Gareth has improved on their writing skills, and it shows wonderfully in this sequel. More characters in more varied circumstances, all feeling unique and intriguing, is something to be proud of. There was never an immersion break, nothing that felt like it was out of character when someone made a decision or said something. The new and adjusted gameplay systems feels mirror yet distinct simultaneously. I enjoy the risk reward and touch more complexity added into the gameplay loop in this iteration. Contracts and the quick die system feels great overall. If in need of some minor tuning and balancing, it's not too cumbersome to feel like a drag and not too simple to where it feels tagged on or anything like that, with one minor exception I'll get later, a phenomenal iterations of the dice system. Where Citizen Sleeper 1 was an introduction to this universe, I'm glad the sequel expanded on it without betraying the potential choices the player made in the first game. By design, your Sleeper in CS1 never made any grand system-spanning decisions, but at the same time you felt impactful in the lives of the characters you involved yourself with an eye. Without spoiling directly, seeing where some of these characters are now, knowing what potential choices and endings you could have gotten in the first game, I never felt that the canon I had chosen as my ending had been betrayed in the first game, nor did I see that any of the endings got decanonized in any way here in the second game, which pleases me greatly. It was a concern of mine before getting into this, that either there would be zero callbacks or there would be confirmation of one ending that decanonized or making other endings feel like illegitimate. In tandem with the writing, the old has had a noticeable quality uplift overall too. Not that the first was bad at any stretch, but the art style feels more refined and explored in this iteration in a way I appreciate deeply, and aids even further immersing you in the universe that painted for you. The soundtrack is phenomenal as the first was. Nothing had completely wowed me to speak, but nothing that was jarring or felt out of place. It simply feels like a very solid explanation of the soundtrack established for the first game, and I'm happy to have more to add in my playlists. The OK and neutral. The belt you can travel in this well-placed in belts overall and feels just big enough for what the narrative needs. This is not an exploration game, and while you can travel to different locales, still feels closer knit in many ways like the I was. I don't consider this necessarily as a good or bad thing, more something that I didn't feel great or terrible. Fun, set praise, and gameplay to work with, but not wowing. Each locale can feel sorta samey and like a sense of variety at points at the playthrough that left me wanting just a bit more sometimes in terms of gameplay. Most will have a place to refuel, resupply, earn cheats, and earn a specific resource. You can lightly detach the urgency of some quests, so when I need to go back in a location, I just visit for the sake of getting enough of a resource to meet the threshold for a quest. This is ultimately a nitpick, but one I feel worth mentioning. The moment I dialogue and text tree ends up and your map progressed, as much of your quest at location, sometimes locations can feel a bit reduced to simply gameplay spots, which is a bit dull at moments. I like the crew system for its narrative opportunities and further player choice in the terms of who they want to bring along. Being able to pick specific characters will interact with their journeys and get closer to them and what they feel organic and appreciated. However, the part comes in the gameplay, which is the only tacked on feeling aspect of the gameplay in my opinion. While it's nice to have the companions or the crewmates have their own dice to roll on contracts, it feels a bit flat in terms of expandability. I'd have liked to see even for a simple form of leveling up depending on how much you can bring the certain crewmate along, maybe being able to make their chances of better dice higher or being able to put plus SS onto the certain skills. Nothing to the point of sleeper can, but something to where I can feel my relationship with the character grows outside of the dialogue and has impact on the gameplay. Hopefully something a future update can expand on lightly, who knows. So, the conclusion. Saying I enjoyed this game on the first playthrough, it's its understatement. It's another wonderful narrative RPG that it's my top 10 games that have impacted me personally. The overarching narrative, the characters, the universe it's set in, all are incredibly enjoyable and overall immersive to the point I felt moved at the end of my first playthrough. I will no doubt be playing more to the achievement hunt and experience different dialogue options I missed. It isn't perfect, but it's an unforgettable experience regardless. One I hope many people will get to enjoy. So thank you guys for watching this video, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button and also don't forget to set up the notifications to not miss any new reviews. See you.